You can actually build just as much muscle doing 30 repetitions as you can doing 5.
Yeah, I mean, it completely shatters that old gym bro folklore we've all kind of internalized.
Right, that idea that you have to lift extremely heavy to get big and you just lift light weights to tone.
Exactly. When you actually look at human physiology, that simple formula just totally falls apart.
It really does. So, welcome to this deep dive, everyone. Today, we are unpacking a massive stack of science-based training research, leaning really heavily into Jeff Nippard's bodybuilding and training guides.
Which are just incredibly comprehensive, by the way.
Oh, absolutely. And for everyone listening, our mission today is to get you past that overwhelming surface-level fitness advice. We want to give you a real masterclass in how your body actually adapts to exercise.
Because the adaptation process is, well, it's infinitely more nuanced than just picking up a weight and putting it down.
Right. So we're going to explore the stark differences between training for pure strength versus training for size. We'll break down a highly effective 3 to 5 protocol, get into the latest research on eccentric loading, and finally, look at why the whole mind-muscle connection thing is actual science and not just, fitness woo-woo.
Yeah, to set the baseline for all of this, we really have to recognize that strength and hypertrophy, which is just muscle growth, are basically two completely different languages you're speaking to your body.
I really like to frame this with a specific analogy. Do you think it's fair to say that pure strength training is kind of like a software update for the nervous system, while hypertrophy is like a hardware upgrade?
That is honestly the perfect analogy. The software versus hardware distinction is so accurate.
Okay, so let's unpack the software side first, the strength.
Right, so pure strength is primarily a neurological drive. It requires lifting really heavy loads. We're talking usually 85% or more of your 1 rep max. Or, maybe 75% if you're moderately trained.
So because the intensity is that high, you basically have to keep the repetitions really low, right? Like 5 reps or fewer.
Exactly. The goal there is literally just getting the weight from point A to point B as fast as you can. You're trying to activate your high threshold motor neurons. It's a skill. You're training your brain to send a massive electrical signal to the muscle mass you already have.
Got it. So that's the software update. What about the hardware upgrade, the hypertrophy?
So with hypertrophy, that absolute weight on the bar matters a lot less than the intensity of effort.
Wait, really? So the weight itself isn't the main trigger?
Not exactly, no. To grow new muscle tissue, you can use a massive rep range. Anywhere from 5 to 30 reps works, as long as you take that set to muscular failure, or at least very close to it.
Because it relies on mechanical tension
Right.
and metabolic stress, that burn you feel.
Exactly. You need tension, micro damage to the fibers, and that metabolic stress. That's what signals the cells to build new physical tissue.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because this is a huge paradigm shift. If pure strength is just a neurological software update, and it doesn't require all that tissue damage and metabolic stress, does that mean you don't actually get sore from pure strength training?
Yeah, it's crazy, but pure strength training causes very little soreness compared to a hypertrophy workout
Wow.
because you aren't waiting for severe tissue damage to repair, right? So theoretically, you could train the exact same muscle every single day as long as your central nervous system could recover from it.
That is wild. Okay, so since pure strength relies on these specific neurological triggers rather than just exhausting the muscle, how should a beginner actually format a strength routine?
Well, you want to avoid accidentally shifting into a hypertrophy stimulus. You have to keep the variables tight.
Which brings us to the 3 to 5 protocol. I am so excited to talk about this. This was developed by Dr. Andy Galpin, and it's basically the ultimate distilled formula for strength.
It really is elegant in its simplicity.
So there are 5 variables, right? You pick 3 to 5 high-impact compound exercises. You perform 3 to 5 sets. You do 3 to 5 repetitions per set. You rest for 3 to 5 minutes between sets. And you train 3 to 5 days per week.
Yeah, that's it. And the brilliance of that protocol is how it forces you to comply with the physiological rules of strength.
I want to hone in on that 4th variable, though, the rest period. Because 3 to 5 minutes of just sitting there feels like an absolute eternity for someone who's used to like high-intensity boot camp classes. Why so long?
I get that a lot. But it comes down to central nervous system recovery and your energy systems. When you lift that heavy, you deplete your cellular energy, your ATP, really fast.
And it takes time to get that back.
Right. It takes about 3 to 5 minutes to fully replenish. If you rush it and you let metabolic fatigue drop your performance, you can't lift as heavy.
So you lose the specific neurological signal for strength.
Exactly. You're just making yourself tired without sending the software update.
And this has a massive anti-aging angle too, which I find fascinating. This protocol directly targets fast-twitch muscle fibers.
Yes, the type 2 fibers, those are responsible for power and force. And unfortunately, they're the very first things humans lose as they age.
Because we just stop moving explosively.
Right, we stop sprinting, we stop jumping. But applying this 3 to 5 protocol preserves those high-threshold neurons. It prevents the loss of functional strength.
Like having the power to catch your balance so you don't fall, that's huge.
It's literally preserving your youth on a neuromuscular level.
Okay, so the 3 to 5 protocol requires the intent to move the weight as fast as possible on the way up, right? The concentric phase. But what about the way down?
Ah, the eccentric phase.
Yeah, so this kind of transitions us from pure strength back into hypertrophy and this really deep research on eccentric loading.
The negative.
Yeah.
While a pure strength lifter might just, drop a heavy deadlift from the top, someone chasing hypertrophy really needs to fight gravity on the way down.
Because that lowering phase is a massive stimulus for growth, right?
It's arguably the most important part for creating mechanical tension and muscular damage. Slow, controlled eccentric movements literally pull the muscle fibers apart while they're trying to contract.
So how does this apply to, like, practical everyday gym problems? Say you have someone who just can't do a pull-up or they do back exercises, but they just never actually feel their back muscles working.
This is where the eccentric overload is like magic. It is highly effective for waking up stubborn muscles.
Waking them up, I like that. So what's the protocol there?
Okay, so for the pull-up, you step up on a box so your chin is already over the bar. You're skipping the hard part entirely.
Right, skipping the concentric part.
Exactly. And then you simply lower yourself as slowly as humanly possible.
Just fighting gravity the whole way down.
Yes.
Yes.
Because even if you don't really feel the lats working in the moment,
Sure.
that eccentric overload mechanically forces those muscle fibers to activate. It wakes them up.
And you definitely know it worked the next day.
Oh yeah, the soreness is real.
Yeah.
That's the proof of the muscle damage.
And I think it's important to point out that eccentric loading is just a fantastic way to apply progressive overload if you're stuck at home. Say you just have a fixed set of dumbbells, right?
Yeah, say 30 pounds is all you have.
Right, and they get too light to challenge you normally. You don't have to go buy heavier weights. You just slow down the negative, take 5 seconds to lower the dumbbell.
So you're extracting so much more hypertrophic stimulus from the exact same equipment. It's incredibly efficient.
Okay, so if eccentric loading is all about physical control, there's another variable we have to talk about that is entirely mental. The mind-muscle connection.
Yes, attentional focus.
Now, here's where it gets really interesting, but also maybe a little suspicious for some people. I'll play devil's advocate here. Is the mind-muscle connection actual science, or is it just fitness? Woo-woo. I mean, can just thinking about my bicep really make it grow?
I get the skepticism, I really do. But it is scientifically proven. The electromyography data completely validates it.
Wait, really? So what does the research actually show?
It shows that being intentionally present and focusing on challenging the target muscle, like literally staring at your bicep and willing it to contract harder, results in more muscle growth than just mindlessly checking the box to finish the rep.
Even if you're using the exact same weight and doing the exact same number of reps.
Exactly. Because when you use internal cues, you're activating a larger portion of the motor cortex. You send a stronger electrical signal to that specific muscle, rather than letting your body cheat and use momentum or other supporting muscles.
That is fascinating. So adaptation is actually driven by the execution, not just the exercise itself. But what if someone just can't connect to the muscle? Think about your lats is pretty vague if you can't feel them.
This is where tactical prompts come in. It's an amazing coaching tip. You have a partner literally touch the target muscle.
Like poke you in the back during a row.
Exactly. They put their finger firmly on your lat and say, squeeze my finger. That tactile feedback completely changes the nerve fiber recruitment patterns in your brain.
Because it gives your brain a literal target to fire at.
Yes. The somatosensory cortex feels the pressure, and it helps the motor cortex pinpoint exactly which fibers to contract.
Wow. Okay, so we've spent this entire deep dive hyping up the nervous system, creating metabolic stress, tearing down tissue with eccentric loads, but the actual growth, the adaptation, that only happens during recovery.
Right. The workout is just the stimulus. The growth happens when you rest.
So how do we transition the body back to baseline? Because finishing a heavy 3 to 5 protocol leaves you incredibly wired.
You are flooded with adrenaline. You're in a sympathetic fight or flight state.
And if you carry that adrenaline straight into your workday or your drive home, you're just going to crash.
And worse, your body won't start repairing the muscle, Protein synthesis takes anywhere from 48 to 72 hours. But it won't even start if your brain thinks you're still running from a tiger.
Right. So we need post-workout downregulation to signal that the physical threat is over. What's the best way to do that?
We use specific breathing strategies to force the nervous system into a parasympathetic state, the rest and digest state.
Okay, I love this. So what's the first step?
Step 1, the moment the workout is over, shift immediately to strictly nasal breathing.
Just shutting the mouth completely.
Yes. It slows your respiratory rate and starts signaling safety. Then you can use the double exhale rule.
Okay, the double exhale rule. How does that work?
You basically make your exhalation twice as long as your inhalation. So if you breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds, you exhale for 8 seconds.
Why does the longer exhale matter so much?
Because exhaling physically slows down your heart rate. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which acts like a brake on your nervous system. By elongating the exhale, you're mathematically forcing your body to calm down.
That is such a simple hack. What about box breathing? I know that's really popular.
Box breathing is great too. That's 4 seconds in, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. Both methods work incredibly well.
And you don't need a 20-minute meditation session to do this, right?
Not at all. It only requires 1 to 5 minutes.
You could literally just do it in the shower post-workout.
Exactly. You do it in the shower or walking to your car. Just actively force the nervous system out of fight or flight so that 48-hour protein synthesis window can actually open.
Man, this has been such an incredible journey through the mechanics of adaptation.
It's a lot of science, but it's so applicable.
Absolutely. So just to recap for everyone, you now know the difference between the software of strength and the hardware of hypertrophy. You've got the 3 to 5 protocol to preserve those fast-twitch fibers, the power of slowing down the eccentric phase to wake up muscles, the literal science backing the mind-muscle connection, and the crucial step of downregulating with the double exhale rule.
And I want to leave everyone with one final thought here, a broader application of all this.
Okay, I'm ready.
If intentionality and downregulation work so profoundly for physical stress, think about how you might apply them to your cognitive life.
Oh, wow.
Right. What if, after a highly stressful sprint of deep work, or maybe a really volatile social interaction, you took just 1 minute to do box breathing? You could literally save your neural energy and reset your brain the exact same way you reset your body after a heavy lift.
I mean, the nervous system doesn't know the difference between a heavy deadlift and a stressful boardroom meeting, right? It's all just stress.
Exactly. It's all the same hardware.
That is such a powerful takeaway. Take these tools, everyone, whether it's into your next workout or your next workday, and start forcing your own adaptations. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.